Welcome in this English syllabus observation session. Today we have to observe syllabus of English of Standard 6. Let us participate in it positively. Examination specifications. It involves four sections. First section is A, which is of reading section, and section B involves writing section. Section C involves grammar section. Section D involves textbook, that is literature, and supplementary reader. Half yearly term first examination. Month of April involves prose section. Who did Patrick's homework? And lesson second. How the dog found himself a new master. Now come to next lesson, that is poem A House, a Home. Supplementary reader A Tale of Two Birds. Grammar revision of the parts of speech, definition, kinds and usage of parts of speech. Use of capitals and capitals letter and apostrophes. In paragraph writing, you have to write about Swami Vivekananda. In application, you have to write an application to the principal for 3 days leave. In the month of May and June, you have to study lesson 3, Tarot's Reward, that is a story. And in poem, you have to study The Kite. Supplementary reader involves the study of The Friendly Mongoose. And in grammar section, you have to study kinds of sentence, interchange of the kinds of sentence, use of do. And in paragraph writing, you have to write on importance of discipline. In the month of July, you have to study a story named An Indian Kalpana Chawla. Lesson 5, A Different Kind of School. And in poem section, you have to study the poem The Quarrel, Beauty. In supplementary reader, you have to study The Shepherd's Treasure. And lesson 4, The Old Clock Shop. In grammar section, you have to study tense and voice, structures and usage, and interchange of tense and voice, auxiliary verbs, modals, etc. Notice writing. Notice of participation in the Vigyan Mela. You have to write a notice on participation in the Vigyan Mela. Later, you have to write a letter to friend telling him about your half yearly examination, that is term first, and a letter to a friend who is down with flu, cheering her up. Reading at least two seen or and unseen passages for local and global comprehension. In the month of August, you have to study lesson 6 named Who I Am. Who I Am. And in poem, you have to study Where Do All the Teachers Go. In supplementary reader, you have to study lesson 5 named Tansen. In grammar section, you have to study use of preposition and conjunction, kinds of punctuation. In paragraph writing, you have to write on Independence Day. And in later, you have to write a letter on to your friend to attend your birthday celebration. In notice writing, you have to write a notice for lost wristwatch. And in jumbled words practice, you have to practice of jumbled words. In the month of September, you have to revise the syllabus. especially grammar through various close tests, editing, matching, and sentence recording, and sentence reordering exercises. Thereafter, you have to prepare for annual examination, that is term second. In new education policy, annual examination is termed as term second. October. Prose. In prose section, you have to study lesson 7 named Fair Play. In poem, you have to study the wonderful words. And supplementary reader, in supplementary reader, you have to study lesson 6 named The Monkey and the Crocodile. In grammar section, you have to study simple, compound, and complex sentences. And in paragraph writing, you have to write My Visit to a Holy Shrine. In the month of November, you have to study prose lesson 8, A Game of Chance. In poem, you have to study critical questions. In supplementary reader, you have to study lesson 7 named The Wonderful Called Sleep. In grammar section, you have to study determiners, models, reported speech. In paragraph writing, you have to write Diwali. And in application, you have to write an application to the principal for free studentship. In this way, you have to study and you have to prepare for coming annual examination. In the month of December, you have to study lesson 9 in prose section named Desert Animals. In poem, you have to study vocation. In supplementary reader, you have to study lesson 8 named A Pact with the Sun. In grammar, you have to study reported speech, subject verb agreement. In paragraph writing, you have to write how I learnt riding bicycle. In letter writing, you have to write a letter to a publisher to supply some books. And in writing work, you have to do writing a short story based on the cues. In the month of January, you have to study lesson 10 in prose section named The Banyan Tree. And in poem, you have to study What Tip. In supplementary reader, you have to study lesson 9 named What Happened to the Reptiles. And in grammar section, you have to study word formation, affixes, phrase, and clause. In writing section, you have to complete writing a short story based on the cues. And in activity work, you have to do preparing a poster or pamphlet, giving message to save our environment. In the month of February and March, you have to study less question answer based on stories, prescribed stories. Um, that we have already studied earlier in till the month of January. That must be revised in the month of February and March. Poem revision of studied poem. That means you have to revise the poem what you studied during previous years till January. Supplementary reader. In supplementary reader, you have to study lesson 10, a strange wrestling match. In paragraph writing, you have to revise what have been taught till January of your concerned year. Later, an application, you have to revise what the teacher taught you till January of the year. Report writing, you have to revise what have been taught in your class. And revision of the entire syllabus through various objective, conceptual tests, and comprehension of unseen as well as seen passages from the main course book. This is all about your syllabus of English for class 6. Must study accordingly and score better marks in coming examination.